Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I cannot see you.
Cannot see me.
There you are.
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. I hear you now.
Let me close my door.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me, John. Let me know if you could hear this because I'm let's see, playing there.
INSiiGHTS Sports Talk.
1, 2, talk, get talk.
INSiiGHTS Sports Talk. Traveling the country for the biggest stories in collegiate sports. Bringing you the news that will impact every college athlete in America. From the Ivy League to the SWAC, Big Sky to the Big Ten, Notre Dame, FAMU, Miami or Maine. No university is too big, no college too small. We tell it all. INSiiGHTS Sports Talk with your hosts, the coach, Mickey Clayton and Clayton Smith. They're bringing you insight on all the latest stories from all the biggest names in collegiate sports. Join us for the next 60 minutes for INSiiGHTS Sports Talk. The sports talk show of a different kind.
Welcome everybody to INSiiGHTS. It's INSiiGHTS Live, and with me today is the Executive Director of the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl, the famous John, the legendary Grant. How are you, my brother?
I'm wonderful, Mickey. Thank you for having me with you today.
Oh, John, anything that I do, I have to include you as a part of it. John is a man who understands social media. He understands the significance of talking to people, of selling the brand. And I think one of the best things that the Celebration Bowl did was come and get you.
Well, I'm honored. I mean, was given a task to get a bowl game up in literally 3.5 months. And, great team of people, a lot of wonderful volunteers, and certainly God's blessings. We were able to see it through and have a very successful inaugural Celebration Bowl.
You know, you did operate under a very short gun, but John, that's kind of how you've operated all the time. I mean, you don't look for excuses. I mean, when things happen and the race starts, if you get up to the gate that's already started, you just have a way of traditionally being able to catch up with the pack. And then not only catch them, but win, place, or show. That's all you know.
Well, we've been fortunate, Mickey. Like I said, we have a lot of a great staff at ESPN. We had a lot of wonderful volunteers, a great commitment in working with commissioners from both conferences along the way. And everyone wanted to win. That was our motto from the start, let's win. And so we were clearly focused on making this inaugural bowl game a success, and certainly, had a title sponsor with the Air Force Reserve coming on board with us. Things just continue to fall into place. I don't think we could have scripted this any better. So it's just a reminder, to me that, God is always in control. And when you go about doing the right things and trying to do them the right way, he always can guide you to the place where, he wants you to be. And so this bowl game was bigger than us. Something that I'm absolutely convinced was in the best interest of our universities, which makes it in the best interest of our young people who attend our HBCUs, and everyone won in this event. Whether not just the two schools that competed, certainly congratulations to North Carolina A&T for being the inaugural team. national champions coming out of the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl. But really the winners are all of the 23 HBCUs that comprise both conferences and those that are not necessarily in the MEAC and SWAC, because this game put our schools on a national platform, really able to showcase not just the athletics on the field, but also reminding everyone that our universities are producing great talent, and that's out there doing things all across the country. And you certainly, sir, are a reflection of one of those. So,
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You mentioned our sponsor, which I thought was significant, that we had the Air Force Reserve as the title sponsor. Tell us the significance of having a sponsor like that, and how pleased were they with the game?
well, it's immeasurable to have an organization like the Air Force Reserve, and what they do for our country. Number one, but what the brand represents, what it brought to this bowl game, and to have literally thousands and thousands of reservists all across the country who were excited about having the Air Force Reserve connected to an event like the Celebration Bowl and actually taking the lead role as title sponsor. I mean, it just, it's indescribable in terms of it meant, the volumes to us. And then not only that, they came on board as title sponsor, but they really got engaged. I mean, we had over 1,000 reservists at the game itself, volunteering, engaged in executing their assets on site, and then being heavily involved with us in assuring that we were able to get the bowl up and so forth. So, Mickey, I'm at a loss for words when I described it, but certainly I want to thank them and thank them publicly for partnering with us, believing that this was the right place to make their investment. And certainly when we know that they're extremely excited about the outcomes. Major General Haddad, he was the vice commander of the Air Force Reserve, the number 2 in the country. He made a statement to me. He said, John, since Wednesday, I've heard the Air Force Reserve mentioned more times than I have in my 30-plus year career in the Air Force Reserve. So I think that spoke volumes to the fact that we wanted to make sure we paid attention to detail, that they were pleased with their representation during the bowl game, and just to be a part of that experience spoke volumes for them.
Well, with the many games that we had for the holiday weekend, and the Celebration Bowl kicked it off, what were the numbers like in terms of TV and because I saw some games that, with people participating in that, I know that the Celebration Bowl had to have better numbers than what they did. So could you share some of that with the listening audience a little bit?
Be happy to. When you looked at, there were 41 bowl games played, starting with the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl on the 19th. We ranked in the top 60% in attendance. So our attendance put us in the top 60 percentile in terms of attendance at the game. But also, when you look at the bowl games played, those between December 19th and Christmas, which was the first 17 bowl games, in terms of TV ratings, our TV ratings were higher than the first 17 games. On the day of the bowl game, on December 19th, we were the second highest rated sports program in stadium, live or in studio. Keep in mind, there were a total of 6 bowl games played on that day. We were the second highest rated out of all television programming across all networks, anything sports related. So we were pleased with the ratings. We're in over 14 million homes. And when you looked at that, we had a rating, a general market rating of 1.7, which was excellent for us. But when you looked at African American viewers, we had a rating of 3.05. So, that was huge for us. And that rating, we did some comparisons. That put us in the highest rated sports program for African Americans, period. And then also with Sports Center having them on site to kick the bowl game off, our ratings with Sports Center that morning, we looked at an analysis, and we had a higher rating for Sports Center than they had for the previous 3 to 4 weeks. Our game in that time slot for Sports Center, opening up at 10 o'clock on the 19th, 10 a.m., was higher than any Sports Center programming in the previous 4 weeks.
And big kudos to you and congratulations. Now, I want you to translate that just a little bit for us, because those numbers are outstanding. And particularly when you look at the number of African American homes that tuned in. How do you translate this in terms of next year's marketing? And it has to be beneficial for those who have identified this as a constituent group that they want to market their wares to.
Well, it really positions the bowl and positions with sponsors and advertisers in a very strong way. These ratings exceeded anything that we had anticipated at ESPN, and so when you consider the fact that, like I said, we were into over 14 million homes. We had over 2 million people tuned in for at least 1 hour into the bowl game. That's huge. And then certainly we had, when you looked at African American consumers, their viewing time was substantially more than that. So it says that this bowl game has real relevance. That sports, all without question, is a great avenue to reach consumers. But really doing that through a bowl game that brought an exciting game. I mean, both North Carolina A&T and Alcorn State can be congratulated for putting a great performance on the field. So much so that the network decided to stay with us. We were to go off the air at 3:35, but the game was so close because there was a game following us on ABC as well, but they stayed with us and really joined the other game, the Las Vegas Bowl, in progress. Now, I mentioned we were the second highest rated. The Las Vegas Bowl, which is also another ESPN events own bowl game, was the highest rated programming of that day. And we believe that our viewership kind of carried into that bowl game later on. And they had a great game there as well.
John, you would have to believe that, because if I'm watching the Celebration Bowl and I would be loosely connected maybe to the schools and watch it, excellent game, all the way to the end. A football fan is hooked, and he said, I might not have known about these two institutions. Let me watch and see if the next game can be good too. So
right.
They could not have had a better lead in. And it was an excellent game. We haven't even talked about that, but the game itself was entertaining. It was high scoring. They were going up and down the field. The guys and the teams, the coaching staff were into it. They played for the national championship, and they emptied their tank. They get everything they had on the field. And as a spectator, there's nothing you can ask for more than what those two fine institutions gave us.
Well, it was certainly an exciting game, no question about it, down to the last play from inside the red zone. And like I said, Alcorn did a great job of coming back. They were trailing early in the game, and they fought. And so those young men, just like you said, from both sides, they left everything they had on the field. And all of us can be proud of all of them. And we know that both Coach Hopkins and Coach Broadway brought their very best to this event. They both coached hard. The teams played hard. And we're just proud that they represented their conferences in a very strong way. So every school in both conferences walk away a winner because those two fine institutions who earned the right by being conference champions represented both the MEAC and the SWAC in such an exceptional way.
And I agree with you. And even as we broadcast and did some things in support of the game, Alcorn State really got behind some of INSiiGHTS and some of the things that we did in terms of the game and a blog that we wrote in support of it. I really saw some things that they did as an institution for others to see some of the things in commentary that INSiiGHTS had relative to that. And, you know, we're partial to the MEAC because Florida A&M is a part of the MEAC. I've been a part of the MEAC. But we also have so many friends within the SWAC. And one of the things that you and I have talked about, I'd like for you to share with the listening audience is you don't necessarily have to have your institution playing to be a part of the Celebration Bowl. And so, you know, I need you to kind of tell people, because one of the things you told me was how people are walking around in their apparel from whatever school they attended or represented. And I think that as we move forward, we need to let people know that. So share some of that with them, John.
Well, what was really exciting for me and for our sponsors, and I think for other fans, because I heard this from them, was the representation from all the other schools that were there, or alumni and students that were there supporting the conference, that were there to support, their conference representative, whether it was Alcorn for the SWAC or North Carolina A&T for the MEAC. And that is exactly what this bowl game is about. It's exactly what the bowl game needs, because, again, it's bigger than just the two schools that play. Those schools are coming in to represent, their brother and sister institutions in the conference. So to be there, to see fans there to support, the school that was representing them was really outstanding. But I must say, SWAC rolls. Their fans, their fans were there in numbers, and Alcorn fans, I will have to tell you, without question, if you had a fan competition, then the SWAC won that one hands down. And I think that is an opportunity for the MEAC to recognize that, SWAC fans support their schools, and certainly MEAC fans do too. But, history has shown that fans from the SWAC conference, they do travel, and they demonstrated that at the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl. Now, that doesn't take away from the fact that, the MEAC had great representation, but, there was no question that Alcorn fans were there. They were fired up. They were ready. I saw a number of Grambling fans. I saw a number of Jackson State fans, Southern fans wearing their gear. And so they were there to certainly offer their conference. And we thank them as well as those that were there to support North Carolina A&T from the MEAC conference.
Now, one thing beyond a shadow of a doubt, with my background being at Florida A&M University, is traditionally when we schedule a SWAC opponent, particularly in football, we draw exceptionally well. They travel in numbers, all of them. And historically, when one of them play it in Tallahassee, they roll pretty good. Mm-hmm. And so I can see how that easily translated to Atlanta, being in the South, a lot of the teams in the SWAC being from the South, and Atlanta as a destination spot. So it's a perfect spot to host the game. You, with many years of doing the Atlanta Classic and dealing with all the things that comes along with it, you've been able to establish relationships and that I'm sure benefited ESPN in terms of putting the game on. and you having the knowledge to help each institution be able to navigate what needed to be handled for them during their visit. Tell me, and I know this is important to you, John, because I know you just a little bit, that the community is really important to you, and how the schools can benefit from being in Atlanta, and how the citizens and kids in Atlanta can benefit from the teams and the institutions being there. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you put in place that allowed the community to be involved in the benefit from this contest.
Well, as you know, I spent the last 14 years as CEO of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta. And so it was important that this bowl have a community connection.
Right.
And so our community partner for the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl, that's one of the things that we did before we left, was to make sure that there was a relationship whereby 100 Black Men of Atlanta and the programs and the work that they do in the community were connected to the bowl itself. And so through that, we had a hackathon was added this year. We premiered the movie Race, the new Jesse Owens story, to about 600 young people free at the theater. We had a college fair this year, as well as we have had with the Atlanta Football Classic. We want to make sure that those kinds of things were connected around the Celebration Bowl as well. But what we also did with the bowl and ESPN, we provided over 2,000 tickets to youth football league participants to attend the bowl game. We wanted them to have the chance to say, to see what big time college football was like through a bowl experience. So over 2,000 young people had an opportunity, 2,000 kids ages 6 and up, had an opportunity to attend the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl as a guest of ESPN. And let me tell you, they were thrilled at the chance to see college football on a national stage and to be there and be a part of it.
And I knew you would do that kind of thing. And it's a part of the 100 Black Men of Atlanta and their culture in terms of giving back. And I know it's been something that you've emphasized ever since you've been a part of it. And again, if you have a question, hashtag Celebration Bowl. We'll ask Mr. John Grant, and I do have a question that somebody sent Mr. Grant, and it's going to put you on the spot. You told us about who the best fans were. Somebody wanted to know, who did you think the best band was?
The best band to me was the band that was on the field at the time. Let me say that, I am proud of how our young people, both the bands and certainly the universities, represented themselves on national television. Keeping in mind, this game, there were only 4 games televised on a national network, which is ABC, ESPN being a cable network. So we were in, when you think of the terms that we were able to present these young people into over 14 million homes. 14 million people tuned into this game. And like I said, over 2 million of those watched the game for at least an hour. So that's staggering for us. And it's an important indicator, though, of the interest that people have in what we do. But that is certainly bolstered by the fact that we as alumni have great passion for our institution as well. So, I'm excited about what they both did. Both bands, back to the question, put on excellent performances. And certainly I leave that to the fan who was either there or those who watched. We didn't televise much of it. We have restrictions in terms of televising because we have to have, the music cleared before we can put it on TV. And we can't televise any music that has not been cleared. So that's one of the challenges we have in terms of televising a halftime show, but the opportunity for people to see is to be there.
Right.
So if you want to see the bands, you got to be at the bowl. And let me tell you, if you weren't there, you missed a treat, because both of them did an outstanding. Did outstanding jobs in the performances that they prepared specifically, for this bowl game.
Well, John, that's a rather suave answer that I would expect from you. And we're down. We've right about 2 minutes left on. And somebody did send another question, and theirs was, did you do anything with the football teams and any of the Black history that was going on? I mean, that was available in Atlanta. Did they have a tour or have something where they were able to get an idea of Black history culture that they might not have been aware of before?
Well, part of creating the bowl experience for the teams, and it was to give the players a broad experience in Atlanta. I mean, we had a dinner for them on their arrival. They at the Georgia Aquarium, they got to get a private tour of the aquarium after hours. So if you've ever been to the Georgia Aquarium, which is the largest aquarium in North America, they have thousands of visitors every day, but they were able to have a private tour after hours in the aquarium. On Thursday, we had a visit for them at the Center for Civil and Human Rights. So they received a private tour of that, which was outstanding and very much life-changing for many of them, to tour that facility and then to get some history from it, from the president and executive director, of a presentation from him on that center. More importantly, what was really touching for me was we had the captains of both teams and some cheerleaders go to hospital and visit some children who were suffering from sickle cell. And they brought some gifts and brought some joy to those kids who were part of the Hugh Spalding Hospital that's connected to Children's Hospital of Atlanta, run by Children's Hospital, but they specialize in kids with sickle cell. And so the players visited there as well. And then, of course, all of the other things that we had for them that added to the experience of being a part of a big-time bowl game. They got first-class treatment from the time they arrived until the time that they left. And as Coach Broadway said, and both Coach Hopkins, they both said, you know what, and they've both been a part of bowl games, Division I big-time bowl games. They've both been a part of it. Each of them left saying this was the best experience that they and their players have had in any bowl game that they've been a part of. And that's the outcome that we were hoping for.
Well, that was pretty significant for them to say that, John, because knowing both of them a little bit, they're honest men, and if they didn't feel that way, they sure would not have voiced that to you. Now, the last comment that I'm gonna make, or question, is I think the real story of the game might not be told until the fall, and the reason I say that is to see how attendance numbers go up for both of these institutions. They were able to be in front of a national audience and be able to talk to and see or be witnessed by the number of eligible students who were trying to make a decision on where they were going to go to school. And that my experiences show that when you get in front of a national audience, and all across the country now, people were able to see Alcorn State, they were able to see North Carolina A&T State University, and to see how the enrollment numbers go up for their students.
Well, I think, you made a great point, Mickey. And that'll be something that will be borne out over time. Mm-hmm. Certainly not one game does a total transformation make. But, having this game back again next year and the following year and so forth and so on, and having the support for it continue to build amongst, the attendees and alumni of all the institutions of both conferences, you're absolutely correct. That we know will create a wave of interest of young people who are interested in taking a second look at our HBCUs. And let me tell you something that I've observed, Mickey, that is occurring now. Grambling just picked up 2
significant transfers
into their program.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that we're paying close attention to,
Mm-hmm.
because our kids, which certainly all of the opportunities they receive are great ones, but what we don't want them to do is to overlook the opportunities they have at our historically Black college universities and their programs that they have. And certainly Grambling did an outstanding job this year.
They did.
With their program. They have a great coach down there. They made a great run through the season, and that one loss kept them out of the Celebration Bowl. But they ran up against Alcorn, who played excellent football down at the SWAC Championship, which was a great game as well. But I think you're going to see some people taking a different look, and the Celebration Bowl creating the national stage as an opportunity to showcase their talent. And also the fact that ESPN televises
Mm-hmm.
regular season games for both conferences. You're going to see a renewed kind of interest for not just athletes, but students who want to be a part of that experience.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit. One game does make a difference. I remember when we won the conference tournament, played Duke in Charlotte, North Carolina. Our enrollment numbers went up almost 30% in that fall, and a lot of it came from the attention that the institution received by what the basketball team did. And a lot of what happens with our student athletes when you try to recruit them is they want to know about being on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're successful, that you can now be on television playing for the National Black Football Championship in a game in a city where most of our people have ability to get to Atlanta. So your family, your minister, your cousins, everybody in the neighborhood can come and see you play. Unfortunately, there's only one first Celebration Bowl. Now, they could try to win the second one and we'll have a lot to build on it, but those who were there first, now that was historic. And we look forward to be able to grow each year. And in closing, I want to allow you an opportunity, John Grant, the legendary John Grant, to be able to say anything that you would like to say to the listening audience about those who supported the game or what they have to look forward to it. But use this medium here on Insights as a way for you to get your message across.
Well, first, let me thank you, Mickey. I mean, you have been a tremendous friend and supporter of all of the work that, we've tried to do over the years. And, that commitment that you have to putting forth what we do has been, special for me. And I want to first start by thanking you for that.
You're welcome, John.
Let me say, and to really be clear with your viewers and listeners, the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl is a very special and unique opportunity for us, for all of us. When the college football bowl season opens, the first game on the first day is ours. The first game on the first day sets the tone for the entire bowl season. And not only is it us opening up bowl season, we're opening it up with a championship. That was a beautiful trophy that North Carolina A&T took home to Greensboro. But the trophy will be on tour this football season, coming to games and to campuses around the footprint of both conferences. So people are going to get an opportunity to see and get close to and take pictures with the national championship trophy. And we hope that continue to spur excitement. Other things that we have on our agenda something very exciting that you want to stay tuned for because it is big. Can't announce it right now because it's still coming together, but it's going to be just as big as the game itself for this year. So I want to thank everyone who participated. I want to thank everyone who watched. I want to thank everyone who believed that this was the right thing to do. And I want to even thank those people who weren't sure or who were skeptics or who thought that we ought to. Why would we forego the automatic qualifier to go to the FCS championships, or who might have thought that participating in this game would make us lesser than? Not true at all. 100%. This year's Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that people are interested and they will watch, that people are interested because they will come, and that people are interested because of renewed interest and understanding of our historically black colleges and universities and the value that they have in creating human capital for our country. So thank you, Mickey, for having us. We want to see you on December the 17th, 2016 in Atlanta, Georgia for the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl 2.
And thank you, John. And listening audience, please know that we will have Mr. Grant on again way before December as he travels the country promoting this event. And I thank John for taking the time to talk to you. And we most definitely will have him back again. And John, for all that you do, this bud for you. Thanks, John.
Okay.
Stay up to date with the latest from INSiiGHTS. Visit our website at INSiiGHTS.com. 2 I's in the middle, INSiiGHTS.com.
INSiiGHTS is a copyright of Mac4 Enterprises, a Florida corporation. This broadcast is produced under the exclusive ownership of Mac4 Enterprises and is the intellectual property and trademark of Mac4 Enterprises. The comments of the host and other individual speakers on INSiiGHTS represent their independent thoughts and representations.